alkaline diets, ketogenic diets, TB12, whatever you want to insert here. I saw a very low IQ post from a very popular influencer saying that the only benefit of an alkaline diet is the fact that you're eating more fruits and vegetables. And I would like to discuss this for a moment here, why I don't ever discount any of these things, whether it's keto or it's alkaline diet or it's TB12 or whatever it is that people are doing. And the reason why I'm going to push back on this, and I'll explain very clearly why this is important, and you should consider this as well. So often in sports nutrition, the only thing that we focus on is the energy pathway and fueling that energy pathway. Oh, you need carbs because you need glycogen, blah, 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 blah. Or, in this activity over here, you need creatine for, creatine phosphate, the whole ATP-CP pathway. And so therefore, fat oxidation for long distance, whatever it is, right? People are constantly focused on calories in, calories out, and it's, just make sure you're eating this many grams of carbs so you replenish muscle glycogen and all these things like that. And while that isn't incorrect, it is myopic. You're missing the bigger picture. And I'll explain to you why. So take a look at something, okay? And we'll come back to alkaline diets, but first I'm going to talk about keto for a second. Then I'm going to point out with keto. Ketogenic diets are anti-inflammatory. There's no discussion about this. This isn't debated. Everyone agrees on this. The ketogenic diet is anti-inflammatory, especially when compared to standard diets, right? This shouldn't surprise you. The standard American diet is shit. So, surprise, ketogenic diets are better than the standard American diet for, inflammation. No problem here. This shouldn't be even something that people are upset by. This is well established. Now, that being said, it's interesting. If you look at studies on ketogenic diets and athletic performance, right, you may find some studies out there that would suggest that being on a ketogenic diet will decrease your performance in certain sports, certain activities, right? And that makes sense because if you're not consuming a lot of carbs, then you don't have a lot of glycogen coming in. And, obviously, if you're trying to fuel yourself to run a 2-hour marathon, you're going to need a whole bunch of carbs. However, not everyone is an elite level athlete. Myself included, I'm not an elite level athlete. I'm not going to show up and hold something close to a 4-minute mile for 26 miles. It's not going to happen. In fact, I'm not going to hold anything close to a 4-minute mile for miles, period, for mile. I no longer weigh 110 pounds. I'm not going to come close to a 4-minute mile at my current body weight. I'm not going to say never, because I suppose I could get back down to 110 again if I felt like starving myself to death. But, all things considered, okay, that's not going to happen. All right, so I don't need to worry about fueling myself to run a 4-minute mile pace for 2 hours. Hence, do I need to follow this guideline that I need all these carbs? No, I don't. And this is something to consider here, though. This is the part that's really important. In masters runners, right, people who are, I guess, I don't know where they draw the line for different sports. I know that, masters in some sports starts at, 30. Some masters in some sports starts at 35. And I think we can all agree, though, at least by the age of 40, you're a masters athlete, okay? And masters athletes, they ran faster for longer when they were on a ketogenic diet. And at first glance, and this was actually discussed in Lyle's Facebook group, Body Recomposition, and I pointed this out, they're not very fast in the first place. Look at their pace, look at their times. These aren't people that are running a 12-minute 5K. So, the glycogen demand isn't an issue. What's more important is that they're old, like me. They probably have arthritis, and they probably have joint pain. So being on an anti-inflammatory diet improves their performance. Yeah. Oh, it's probably because they have less inflammation and they're not in pain. So I want you to think about this. Pain corrupts movement. If your knee hurts like hell, you're not going to run very well, and you're not going to squat very well, and you're not going to jump very well because your knee hurts so bad that it's going to impair your performance. So if you have arthritis and you have joint pain and you have, inflammation, and you reduce that inflammation, oh, wow, you're going to perform better. And I will tell you right now, I know everyone likes to think that there's all these different performance-enhancing drugs in sports, and I'm not going to say that there aren't, but you want to know what the number one performance-enhancing drug is? Anything that stops pain. Oh man, ketorolac, Toradol, is one of the most widely used things in professional sports. Why? Because it works. It's an anti-inflammatory and it's super powerful. Pain medication is definitely a performance enhancer. Okay? All right. So we've covered that part with the ketogenic diet. Why would people perform better on a ketogenic diet? There's no carbs, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sure. But this dude went from running a 24-minute 5K to running a 22-minute 5K. Now, these are not world record times, but it improved their performance. Because why? Because it's anti-inflammatory, and so this person didn't have pain. You know what? The fact that they didn't have pain probably also allowed them to train more often. Think about that. If you could reduce your pain, you could reduce your inflammation, you could train more frequently. You'd probably train longer, probably train better. So there's a lot of factors that come into this, and that's what I try to point out to people. It's more than just fueling the energy pathway. There's a lot of other factors that come into this. That's why I point out with people all the time. People want to bash, Tom Brady, TB12, well, that's fucking dumb, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not dumb. He's found a diet that works for him. It's foods that fit into his unique digestion that don't cause inflammation for him. So he's removed the inflammatory foods from his diet. People are like, oh, there's nothing wrong with nightshades. Well, there is, actually. A lot of people find that nightshades actually aggravate their arthritis. That's not an uncommon thing. That's not something that's like, oh, that's unheard of. No, it's well documented. So removing nightshades from your diet, shocking, might actually improve your joint pain. Oh, do you think you might perform better if you weren't in pain? Oh. All right, back to the alkaline diet. Now, do I really think you need to follow an alkaline diet? No, I don't, but whatever. This is the point to it, is that before you just throw it out, tell me you've never worked with real athletes without telling me you've never worked with real athletes. Why would an alkaline diet have benefits besides the fact that you're eating fruits and vegetables? Well, we know that a lot of athletes eat a ton of protein, and so they have a lot of acid load. This is just the way your body functions. There's nitrogenous waste, that's your BUN, and your urea, and all these things like that. And we talk about the fact that, following an alkaline diet only changes urine pH, but it doesn't change your blood pH. Okay, who fucking cares? Stop and think about this, and this is documented as well. When you run something at the 400 meters, there's a mild acidosis that occurs. And there's this recycling of lactate. You are using lactate for energy when you're running things like a 400, 800, even a mile. There's the accumulation of hydrogen ions. Now, if this doesn't make sense to you, let me point out to you where we're headed with this, and I'll make the connection for you. Why do people use beta-alanine? Beta-alanine helps you to buffer the hydrogen ions. You are going to accumulate hydrogen ions while you're running a mile. If you're running a mile as fast as you possibly can, you're going to feel this burning sensation. And I know it's not lactic acid. Everyone points out, oh, it's not lactic acid. No, but it is hydrogen ions. All right. Hydrogen ions are acidic. Acidosis. There is a such thing as metabolic acidosis. This is not something that doesn't exist. This is something that's been pretty well documented. All right. So we're doing this really high intensity work, and we're accumulating lactate. That lactate, comes with this side effect of hydrogen ions and this burning sensation. You're not wrong for the acidosis. Well, you use beta-alanine because it helps you to buffer the hydrogen ions. Okay, stop. Sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, is actually a very effective ergogenic aid. Look it up. Sodium bicarbonate works by the same mechanism. It's helping you to buffer hydrogen ions. It's offsetting that acid load. Alkaline water. Oh my gosh, alkaline water isn't just a scam? No, it isn't. You can look it up. Do you need to be drinking alkaline water 24/7? No, you don't, but there's actually been studies out there where they gave people alkaline water and it improved their performance in distances of, 400, 800, 1200, 1600, these very high intensity distances, okay? It's not going to improve your performance for running slow for a long period of time. It's not going to make a difference in something very short like 100 meters, but these events where you're going to be accumulating a lot of lactate and acid load, oh, alkaline water does have benefit. But it doesn't change your blood pH. That's correct. Same thing for sodium bicarbonate. Oh, but it doesn't change your blood pH. Correct. And yet, it works, and it helps you to buffer the hydrogen ions. That's interesting. Some people get diarrhea. Yeah, that's fun. When they use sodium bicarbonate. It's not real fun to have diarrhea while you're trying to run the 400 meters, or the 800 for that matter. It's not even fun having diarrhea while you run a mile, unless you run really fast. And then, I don't know, you'd have to run naked, I guess. If you run naked and you run really fast, it wouldn't be so bad to have diarrhea. You could just outrun it. That's disgusting. Anyways, the point being, some people have gastric upset from using sodium bicarbonate. Not a good option for them. And some people also experience gastric upset from using creatine and using beta-alanine, and lots of other things cause gastric upset. If you are one of those people, and you would still like the benefit of being able to buffer hydrogen ions, but you have a sensitive stomach and you can't handle using sodium bicarbonate at large doses or beta-alanine at large doses, you could follow a alkaline diet. Oh, I just connected all the dots for you. Yes, an alkaline diet could potentially be an option for you. If you can't handle sodium bicarbonate, if you can't handle beta-alanine, you could do an alkaline diet, and it would have the same benefit because it's the exact same mechanism. Yes, it'll help you in those high-intensity events where you're accumulating lactate and hydrogen ions, that mild acidosis that occurs, which causes fatigue. An alkaline diet could actually improve your performance because it'll help you to buffer the hydrogen ions and offset that acid load. There you have it. Okay? So long story short, this is why I don't discount anything. If athletes tell me XYZ works, and I can see that it works, then why would I ever tell them, oh no, don't do that, it's not science-based? There's practically nothing out there that's science-based. That word gets thrown around so much, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's embarrassing. And I'll point something out to you about science-based, okay? Very quickly. Recently, a study came out showing that you could have this stretch-mediated hypertrophy, right? You do this stretching, and stretching, interset or stretching at the end of a set can actually increase hypertrophy. Wow, that's great. It's 2023. Dante Trudel was telling people that in 2000. As far as I know, and that's just me. I was aware of it back in 2000, Muscle Media 2000, and the different forums that were out there. Yeah, definitely was aware of this in 2000. Definitely by 2002, I was 100% aware that you could do intraset or post-set stretching, and you would get an increased hypertrophy effect. So, great, it took 20 years for them to do a study to confirm it. Meanwhile, Dante Trudel has been telling people to do this for over 2 decades. Nice of science to finally catch up with the practice, okay? So, is there a science-based everything? No, a lot of times athletes figure shit out long before any study comes along and says, oh yeah, this makes sense. It's like this whole idea of training to failure, right? Athletes figured out a long time ago, well, bodybuilders at least, figured out that training to failure yielded better responses for them. They had better growth training to failure. And now we're like, oh, we now just finally have a study saying that training to failure is beneficial for hypertrophy. Thanks. Bodybuilders have only known that for 70 years? Holy cow, bodybuilding's been around for a long time. They've been doing it for 70 years before a study confirmed what they were doing. So sometimes practice is ahead of the science, because science is actually based on anecdote. What happens is someone tells their anecdotal experience, hey, I did this thing and it worked. Then someone decides to do a study to test it. So oftentimes someone comes up with an idea or a theory, they have an anecdote, and they've already been doing it before someone does a study on it, because the person who does the study got the idea to do this study from the person who was already doing it. So in any case, the point here is that if you hear some line about, oh, the only benefit of this diet is blah, 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 and you haven't stopped to think about the other mechanisms that could be in play, like just the fact that even an alkaline diet has anti-inflammatory effects as well. Oh my. It doesn't have to change your blood pH to have an effect. That doesn't make any sense. There's a whole bunch of other effects. This is like, what it is it's myopic. You're focusing in on this one little thing. Oh, energy substrate. It's just about carbs. And it's like, but there's different carbs, and different carbs are digested differently. Some carbs are digested fast. Some carbs are digested slow. If it was all just carbs, then why would you want to combine fructose and glucose together at the same time for your intra-workout? Why not just glucose? Oh, because when you have the fructose in there, it actually increases the rate at which you can absorb it. So by putting fructose in with the glucose, yes, you absorb it faster and you assimilate it better. So it isn't just about carbs. Like, it's not like all carbs are created equal. They're actually quite different, and they have different mechanisms, and they have different transporters, and, whether it's, GLUT5 or GLUT4 or whatever, like, there's a lot of other effects going on in these equations. There's much more to these things than just calories in, calories out, and, just make sure you get 4 grams of carbs per pound of body weight, or whatever number someone's throwing at you, 8 grams per pound of body weight. Like, it doesn't work that simple. There's a lot of other factors in here, and that anti-inflammatory effect cannot be understated, because if it was not an issue, then people wouldn't be shooting themselves for ketorolac before competing. And that is really common. I don't care what you think is common in pro sports. Everyone wants to believe, oh, they're all on tren or something. I bet you tren is really rare, but I bet you that Toradol, ketorolac, is really common. Yeah. Why do I say that? Because I know that it's really common. So, there you guys have it. Before you discount something, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's alkaline diets. I don't care if it's ketogenic diets. I don't care if it's TB12. I don't care if it's a vegan diet even. Carnivore. Carnivore is anti-inflammatory, because of the same reasons why keto is anti-inflammatory. There are definitely going to be people out there who just simply reducing the inflammation improves their performance. For you to throw that out, then I guess you need to throw out all the use of NSAIDs, cortisone for that matter. Cortisone's real popular. I think about the Tour de France, everybody's using cortisone. So cortisone can also be ergolytic if you use it improperly, but if you use hydrocortisone properly, it can be an ergogenic. All depends on how you use it. Same thing for insulin. Insulin has a whole bunch of different actions. It can or can't work for you or against you, depending on how you use it. So anyways, that's a long explanation, but I felt that it's worth discussing, and I'd rather discuss it in detail than just to make some random stupid post on, Twitter or something where you write a one-sentence thing that has no nuance to it. So I hope this was helpful.